Bord Gais, good afternoon. It's the 31st of August 2024. You're welcome back. Now, I've been dealing with a number of things, including energy, and energy is one of the main topics in world economics at the moment. There are various views about it. There are even views that we can do without fossil fuels altogether and run it on windmills and solar panels and all of that. And I think we're rapidly seeing that that's not working out so well. Neither are the electric cars. But in any event, none of it is assessed. It's all illegal. One of the points I made there is about choosing your electricity supplier. And someone said that if they left the ESB, they'd lose some type of privileges they had. I'm puzzled by that. Maybe they would consider posting again and explain it a little bit more, and we'll develop it a wee bit more. Now, one of the things I discovered in my inquiries, one is that if you really check wind farms with the likely life of the turbines in it, and the income they bring in, and the deductions for interest and other payments, and then depreciate them properly. Now, in a lot of factories, plant is depreciated at over 7 years, sometimes it's longer. But if we take it that they admit in most of their accounts that 20 years is about their useful life, they begin to degrade after that and they need expensive upgrades and all. And many of their planning permissions is only for 25 years. Anyway, it would seem very sensible to write them off maybe over 25 years so that when they come to the 25 years, you have no residual value left if you understand how depreciation works. That's not what they're doing. In most cases, what they do is they only write off a little bit every year. The result is that as they come on to about 18 years, you can see that the carrying value is what you call that, the value that's left after they take off the inadequate depreciation could never be realised by the legitimate ordinary sale of the wind farm. And you have to take the decommissioning costs out of it as well. Okay? So that's one of the ways they get over the fact that they're insolvent. And it should be illegal, you would imagine. But auditors write in all kinds of stuff. Now, the other way they get over the lack of profits is that they sell the wind farm, nearly in all cases. A person who builds it rarely ever keeps it unless it's the ESB, which is in a privileged state position in Ireland. They sell the wind farm on to some operator and they only expect the interest on the payments. They never collect the capital sum. So you can see if you don't have to pay off the capital sum, depreciation doesn't really come into it. If I can buy a brand new tractor that would normally cost 48,000 euros and I get it just by paying a bit of interest every year, I never pay off the principal, I never pay off the 48,000, well, I wouldn't need to depreciate it, because to depreciate means that you write down the cost, the capital cost. If you get it for nothing, then depreciation is not applicable. Yet it does apply in cases where they do that. They do depreciate them, even though the parent company will not collect anything of the capital cost. Now, there's these two main ways of getting over the fact that when you normally take the income and all the expenses, if you took the proper depreciation, you'd have a big loss in every case. But even with them doing this in the cases I checked, and I checked up to 40, including 2 in the UK, in 2019, and I compiled a dossier on them, all very, very, very detailed. And even with all of that, we're finding that if they were to clear their cost from the profit of the wind farm, from the actual remaining income, it'd take between 32 and 160 years. I think that's it, something like between 33 or 4 and 150 or 60 years for the wind farm to clear its cost. That's some of them are 90 years, 80 years and all of that. So there's something radically wrong. But one of the things they have to do anyway, if they own a wind farm and they're going to forgive the cost, they're going to gift the cost to the operating company, then we have to pay for it through our bills. And we have a few famous companies in Ireland who can't wait to get enough of wind farms. One of them is SSE Electricity, the other is the ESB, who are currently eyeing up buying one in Limerick. I'd like to see the accounts of it, I will in due course. But there is one company which, as far as I can figure, is not involved in the wind farms at all. And strangely enough, I have my own family home, but I have the farm and a place there. And the family home is on the ESB Electric Ireland, and the home on the farm is Bord Gais. Bord Gais. Now, Bord Gais, they have, they're the operator of the gas pipes. The state owns them. They can't sell the pipes. They also sell electricity, and they don't have any say in the cabling and in the grid infrastructure for electricity. So a while back, they owned also Knockacumber, about an 87 megawatt wind farm. I think it's down around Cork somewhere, but anyway, wherever it is, down the south somewhere, Knockacumber. But the thing is that they offered the whole job lot for sale. They were selling everything except they couldn't sell their right to use the grid, and they also couldn't sell the pipes that brings the gas. But they were selling everything else, and the company that took an interest in it was Centricia. Centricia, an English company. Not really anything wrong with that, but we see that foreign companies are making some profit out of Irish households, and I just wonder, were we better off when we had the ESB? The reason the ESB was broken up was strikes. You couldn't keep the workers from going on strike. They'd go on strike at the drop of a hat, and they'd hold the whole country to ransom. And so they killed the goose that laid the golden egg. But in any event, whatever happened, rights or wrongs, when Bord Gais wanted to, Bord Gais, G-I-S, I should have an I in that, by the way, there. When Bord Gais, I call them gas, when Bord Gais went to sell their stuff, Centrifuga would only buy the gas distribution and the electricity distribution. They would not buy the wind farms. And as far as I can see, Bord Gais distributes gas and electricity with no wind energy to pay at all. So they don't have to forgive the cost of wind farms because they don't have any. The issue of corrupted depreciation or any of that doesn't apply, for the simple reason that they don't buy them at all. Now, somebody might say, oh, I've checked there, they own someone. If they do, it's very little, okay? So they got rid of Knockacumber, that big one, 100 megawatts. There was 13 megawatts added onto it since. It's now 100 megawatts. And it was bought by a Canadian company, the wind farm. So now you have Bord Gais and sold, and an English company, Centrifuga, supplying gas and electricity. And I'm with them for the farm on that. I use a nice little bit of electricity for various things, but anyway, not as much as at the home place. But in any event, I didn't know this till recently. It's only this when it came up, and we saw, response to my video, some people are considering getting away. Certainly SSE Electricity have to be overcharging. They couldn't survive and pay off these hundreds of millions if they weren't gouging the customer. Now, I don't know what their bills is like, but I know that the ESB, some people say there's special deals with them and all that, but we're paying a good bit. I never got anything off them. Now, I generally send in me meter readings, and there come a man round to all the houses and read the meters. But maybe there was a difference with the farm. They mightn't have been around. But in any event, when I have the bills in the family home, I'm always getting calls. If I don't pay it off, you get a call. Hello, and it's usually some fella from Timbuktu with an accent of Zimbabwe or somewhere. Oh, your bill, we're ringing about your bill. Will you pay it and all this? And they drive you mad. Now, I know there's people don't pay the bill, and I know there's huge arrears. But I generally do. It's not a problem. But they don't care. They are always on to me. But would you believe it? I never got a call from Bord Gais. I often left it a long time and I go in and pay it in the post office. I often lost the bill and they'd say I go in and pay 100 and no big problem. But I always pay it. Now, I don't know what has happened, but I never got a refund from ESB either. But it is a bigger bill, of course. But here on this one, I went into the post office one day and they owed me 240. She says, you don't owe, they owe you. And they've written off that, and here's the bill, you can see it there, minus 185.49. Now I'll read you out what it says here. Standing charge is 61 days. We usually have a 2-monthly bill in Ireland, bi-monthly, 6 bills a year. 61 days, 68.95. So the standing charge is almost €1 a day for your electricity. Isn't that a lot, just a standing charge? And that amounts to 42.07. 61 days at 68.96, 42.07. 24-hour units. Yeah, well, that's called the hour units, the kilowatt hour. That's the way they sell the domestic electricity. The wholesale electricity is megawatt hour, and that's 1,000 watt, 1,000 megawatts. There's a watt, which isn't applicable. There's a kilowatt, which is applicable. That's a unit, kilowatt hour. And then there's a megawatt for the wholesale. That's 1,000 kilowatts. Now, anyway, 24-hour units. 43 hours, and it's 32 cent and 0.03, 32 cent you might say, and that's 13.77. So 43 units. That'll be about running a ring of electric cooker for 43 hours. That's a good while. That'll be nearly 2 days, and if you did that, it'd cost you 13.77. I use it for the pump for the water and the electric fences and lighting and stuff like that. So in any event, 24-hour units at 43 of them, 43 units at 52.03, and they charge me 13.77 for that. So the point about it is that's not too dear, and I find that. Now then there's VAT is 9%, 503, and there's no PSO levy. I don't know why that is, and previous bill is 20. It was 246, and now they've taken this off it, and they now owe me 185. So I'll use that up in credit. Now the point about it is, I don't know why there's no VAT. Oh, there is VAT. There is 503, but there's no PSO levy. And PSO levy appears to be above the VAT. So as far as I can see from this, the PSO levy is subject to VAT. Imagine paying VAT on a PSO government levy. If that's the case, anyway, you can comment underneath. So the point about it is, I've never got a call from Bord Gais. I just find them an comfort to deal with there. Never ring you up or anything else. They do get on to me. Will you read the meter there? I just send a hint. And then they usually come on next week and they forget about it and all that. But what I'm saying to you is, I would consider, because of what I've said, that these don't appear to have any windmills, I'd say these crowd have no interest in it. I said this centristica, just they don't want to brag about it. But I'll brag about it. I think these are a crowd that doesn't want wind energy at all, or solar energy. And you see, if that's the case, let SSE and ESB, let them plough on. Buy all they want. And you get your supply from this company. I have never been able to find a legal clause in the regulation of electricity to force a company to buy into windmills. As far as I can see, it's voluntary. You know what I'm saying now? What I'm saying is, if you're running an electricity company there and you're buying the energy from the pool, from the grid, from the pool, I have found no mechanism to make you buy a windmill or buy a wind farm. I haven't found it. Maybe somebody else will tell me, because an awful lot of engineers and people who read into this will be onto me. So we'll be back to you on that. So if that's the case, Bord Gais is a windmill, solar power free company. And they're always in the paper. People don't mind paying for renewable energy. Well, I think if people knew there was a way of avoiding paying it, they would. And this is the nearest thing I know to avoiding paying it. Have I made it clear? Now, I give this advice only what I know. I can't be held accountable if you change over and you find you're not getting a good deal. But I'm with these an awful long time. And there's no unpleasant surprises. Here I am. No, not pay nothing. You're all right. Don't bother your head. I was happy enough. I didn't get that. I hadn't time to look it up. I'd be happy enough. Now, it says on the back of it here that there was no coal. There was percentage of coal is 0%, and then average for Ireland is 5.5. Now, that's a lie, because there's no such thing as coal without electricity without coal. Natural gas 69.2, that could be true. Renewables 30%. Well, that's a lie, because renewables don't give their nameplate value, so that's a lie. And oil, it says none. How can it be none when Ireland is using 56 articulated lorry loads of diesel oil every day to keep the windmills going? So how do they get away with that? How do they get away with it? And emissions are only 315 grams. I mean, that's totally untrue. Totally untrue. There is coal being burned. It's all out of the same pool. How can Bord Gais get it with no coal in it, and the rest of them have to put in coal, and the average is 5.5%, which is near enough what you get on the air grid dashboard. And natural gas 69, so nearly 70% from natural gas. I get the figure a lot less, about 60%. Renewables again 30%. What a lie. And oil, nothing. That's a lie. 50. Look, apart from the heavy oil used in some of the power stations, the emergency generators alone, leaving out the distillate oil, which can run with gas, or whichever, you can run them on gas or distillate oil, usually if they're open cycle gas turbines, and some of them are combined cycle gas turbines. So it says here the national average for oil is 1.9%. And that's a lie, because that's not true. So all a big load of lies there. But then where do they get their information from? Anyone that believes that is a bigger idiot. They're burning coal, oil and gas as if there's no tomorrow. And when they try to reduce it, they replaced it with diesel oil. As I said, 56 articulated lorry load per day that I know of. And that's what before. That's for emergency generation. And don't forget, they were trying to bring in big engines into South Docks, and have them in there. 11 huge man diesel engines, and they couldn't get them across the M50 because they're 500-ton weight. So what would they be burning? If they had to get them in, they'd be burning more. Some said they're for data sensors. Well, it doesn't really matter. It's all electricity. So folks, that's the story. I still think in Ireland, I'd be looking at that, and I'll read it again to you if you want to check your bill. The standing charge, I think it's the same for everybody. It's 61 days. It's 68.96 per day. 68.96. You might as well say 69 cents a day. The units is 32.03 for a small amount. 32.03 per unit. I remember when I was 14, and it was 26 about 18 months ago. But that doesn't look too bad, 32.03. I'd love to hear your posts there. They didn't charge me any PSO levy, and they charged me VAT at 9%. And that's it, folks. Hopefully that'll help. I think if Bord Gais is not interested in windmills, they're the place to go. Why should you pay for BlackRock investments and Greencoat renewables and all of that? And that Knockacumber plant was bought then of the Canadian company by Greencoat Renewables, and it's up for sale now again. We'll do another video on that. Okay, folks, good luck. We'll see you back for something soon. Bye.